Have you ever stared at an old photograph of yourself? Maybe you're 5 years old, missing a front tooth, holding a melting ice cream cone with a bright smile that lights up your whole face. By the way, this is me, Winnie at 5. A moment captured like this never changes. The image stays the same. The moment is frozen in time. But the way that photo feels to you may change completely. At 10, you might look at it and feel embarrassed by a goofy smile. At 16, you might see it and feel a pang of nostalgia for a simpler time. And maybe, years from now, you might notice something you never saw before. The quiet love hidden in the eyes of the person holding the camera behind. This idea has fascinated me for a long time. How can the same event, the same person, the same memory feel so different over time? And that led me to something simple but powerful. Every single one of us here holds a kind of power. Not the power to fly, not the power to become invisible, but the power to change how we experience the love that has been surrounding us all along. And here's what I've come to understand about it. Perspective allows us to unlock and feel the love that has been there all along. Because love often exists long before we are able to recognize it. Real love is rarely loud or dramatic. It isn't always expressed through grand gestures or obvious words. More often, it appears in quiet forms, in patience that doesn't complain, in sacrifices that aren't announced, in care that doesn't demand recognition. These kinds of love don't perform for attention. They simply exist. And because of that, they're surprisingly easy to misunderstand. Sometimes, love isn't absent, but perspective prevents us from seeing how deep it really is. My first real understanding of this began with something incredibly ordinary. My name, Winnie. As a kid, I really didn't like this name. When I was 7, I'd finally asked my mom why she named me Winnie. She smiled and told me, because of Winnie the Pooh. He's kind, loyal, and sees the world with wonder. At 7, I was horrified. I rolled my eyes so hard I think I even saw my own brain. All I could think was, a bear? A bear who only cares about honey? That was my namesake? I wanted a name that sounded cool, or elegant, or powerful. Anything other than a bear obsessed with honey. For years, my name just felt childish, a little silly, like a sweater that never quite fit, but one I had to keep wearing anyway. At the time, I thought the problem was my name itself. But what I didn't realize was that the problem was actually my perspective. Because love doesn't always appear in the form we expect. Sometimes, we measure love using our own standards. We expect certain words, certain gestures, certain symbols. But the people who love us may express them through completely different ways. And when those expressions don't match what we expect, we often overlook them. Like hearing a language we don't understand, even when something meaningful is being said. That was exactly what happened to my name. I saw it as a label that didn't fit, a story I didn't want to be part of, and let that feeling sit between my name and me, without ever stopping to ask what it really meant. For a long time, The name was just a sound I carried. But as I grew older, I started to realize there might be more meaning behind it than I once thought. A few years ago, I had a chance to travel to Liangshan in Sichuan as a volunteer. We spent several days in a small elementary school, playing games and organizing activities with the students. They were endlessly curious, full of energy, and eager to talk about everything. And for those days, the kids kept calling me Teacher Winnie. I have to admit, I still felt a little awkward when hearing it. But when it was finally time for us to leave, a little girl suddenly ran up to me. She quietly pressed a piece of candy into my hand. One she had probably been saving for a long time. She looked up at me with her bright eyes and said, "Thank you, Teacher Winnie. You're just like the bear in the story. So warm and so kind." I froze. In that moment, the image I had carried for years, a silly bear obsessed with honey, quietly fell away. Standing there with that piece of candy in my hand, something shifted. Something I had never seen before came into focus. It wasn't just what she did. It was how she saw me. To her, Winnie, the bear from the story, wasn't silly at all. Those qualities of kindness and warmth weren't just words. They were something the little girl had truly felt. In the trust in her voice, in the way she ran straight to me without hesitation. And more than that, they were something that could reach someone. Even in a moment as small, as simple as this one. Those qualities my mom had mentioned, they were not just descriptions. They were something I was meant to grow into. The kind of person she hoped I would become, the kind of presence she hoped I would be in other people's lives. And for the first time, I saw my name the way my mother did. My mom wasn't just giving me a name. She was giving me a gift shaped by love, a hope that I would grow into those qualities, a quiet expectation of how I would move through the world. And the interesting thing is, the name itself, like the photograph, never changed. But my understanding of it did. Now, when I hear my name, I hear a quiet echo of my mother's love. I hear the hopes she placed there from the very beginning. Love was always there, embedded in that choice from the day I was born. I just hadn't seen the depths of it. But when we see love in the details of our lives, a reminder we once found annoying begins to feel like care. Something we once resisted begins to feel like protection. And something we thought was small reveals the extraordinary love that was waiting there all along. Thank you.